Good morning. We're the Parish Jazz Band, and thank you for coming. Ready, Sarah? All right, Sarah, you ready? Here's the opening, all right?
He's a fool and don't I know it, but a fool can have his charms. I'm in love and don't I show it, like a babe in arms. Love's the same old sad sensation. Lately I've not slept a wink since this half-pint imitation put me on the blink. I'm wild again, beguiled again, a simpering, whimpering child again, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered am I.
Thank you. That was Sarah Beauvais on vocals.
It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around and finally found the somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue, and even be glad just to be sad, thinking of you. Some others I've seen might never be me, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gives me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you.
2, 3, 4, 1.
Some others I've seen might never be me, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gives me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good morning and welcome to First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, a welcoming spiritual community. My name is Neil Saunders and I serve as chair of the worship committee. Our minister is the Reverend Cindy Landrum. If this is your first time with us, we welcome you. We invite you to check out our webpage, fpc-stowe-acton.org, for news and information. You can also sign up there for our newsletter and email alerts called FPC Announce, and for our email forum, the FPC Forum. Today's service, I'm delighted to say, is being broadcast live on Zoom, thanks to the technological expertise of Joe Stodolnik, Mike Merrill, and Jonathan Daisy. And thanks very much for a terrific job. For those of you who are Zooming in with us, and there are quite a few actually, we've taken precautions to avoid disruption, so some features are turned off. Following the service, for those joining by video or phone, you're invited to attend a virtual coffee hour where you will arbitrarily be put into a small group with 4 to 6 other people who you can chat with. Our virtual coffee hour discussion groups will last about 15 minutes. For those of you enjoying the service here on the church grounds, please remember to follow Massachusetts guidelines. Keep those face masks and coverings on during the service and remain the requisite 6 feet apart, and you're all doing a terrific job. A couple of major announcements. The FPC building remains closed due to the epidemic. If you need to enter the building for any reason, please check with Reverend Cindy or Board President Katie Weeks. Many committees and groups and adult programs are continuing to meet via Zoom. Please check with the chair of your committee or group for further details, and watch for announcements on FPC Announce and FPC Forum. Finally, a big thank you to Michael Palladini and all the members of the Parish Jazz Band. And now let us come together in the spirit of worship.
When all the people of the world love, then the strong will not overpower the weak. The many will not oppress the few. The wealthy will not mock the poor. The honored will not disdain the humble. The cunning will not deceive the simple. Bautza.
Please join in the covenant. Love
is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
From all that will below the skies, let words of love and peace arise. Let joyful songs of praise be sung through every land, by every tongue.
Thank you, Sarah. The church has asked that, for hymns and things this morning, that you hum along. Everybody seems sort of nicely socially distant, so if you want to sing quietly, I'm sure that's okay too. Our next number is Ornithology by Charlie Parker, but I have to give you guys a little bit of jazz history, because yesterday no less, was the 100th birthday of jazz saxophonist Charlie Parker, nicknamed Yardbird or Bird. He and Dizzy Gillespie created and championed a jazz style known as bebop, although Charlie never really liked the label. Let's just call it music, he once said. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about Charlie Parker before we play, since it really is kind of amazing that yesterday was his 100th birthday. He first learned music in the public schools playing the baritone horn in the marching band. And he switched to the alto sax when he was 15, and he loved it so much that he dropped out of school to be a full-time musician. He played in nightclubs for a few years and then moved to New York City in 1939 when he was 19 years old. He supplemented his income by washing dishes. He made his first recording in 1940 with Jay McShann's band. He was 20 years old. Later he joined Earl Hines's band and then Billy Eckstine's. Throughout his adult life, Parker struggled with alcoholism and heroin addiction, and his attempts to get clean and sober were usually pretty short-lived. He was arrested for heroin possession in 1951, and he lost his cabaret card, which is a license to perform in New York City nightclubs at the time, as a result. When he got the card back a year later, clubs wouldn't hire him. He tried and failed twice to commit suicide, and finally died in 1955. The official cause of death was listed as pneumonia and bleeding ulcer, and the coroner estimated his age to be between 50 and 60 years old. He was 34. Charlie Parker once advised aspiring musicians, quote, "You've got to learn your instrument, then you practice, 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 and then when you finally get up there on the bandstand, forget all of that and just wail." So we're going to play Ornithology this morning. One thing about Charlie Parker I have to say is Charlie Parker played amazingly fast, like 220 beats a minute. And I, for one, can't play that fast. So I'm not 1/100th the musician he was. So I hold the band back. So we're going to play Ornithology, but Charlie, forgive us. We're going to kind of play at a tempo I can play, which kind of turns it into a swing tune, which was exactly what he was rebelling against. But it's a wonderful tune. It's called Ornithology for the bird. John, you set the bass.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. This is a reading from Rumi's poem. It's a longer poem called Each Note. And this is the end of it, the second half of the poem, or the third of the poem. The stars come up spinning every night, bewildered in love. They'd grow tired with that revolving if they weren't. They'd say, "How long do we have to do this?" God picks up the reed flute world and blows. Each note is a need coming through one of us, a passion, a longing pain. Remember the lips where the wind breath originated, and let your note be clear. Don't try to end it. Be your note. I'll show you how it's enough. Go up on the roof at night in this city of the soul. Let everyone climb their roofs and sing their notes. Sing loud. One, two, three, four.
Hold me close and hold me fast, the magic spell you cast. This is La Vie en Rose. When you kiss me, heaven sighs, and though I close my eyes, I see La Vie en Rose. When you press me to your heart, I'm in a world apart, a world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing from above. Everyday words seem to turn into love songs. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be La Vie en Rose. Hold me close and hold me fast, the magic spell you cast. This is La Vie en Rose. When you kiss me, heaven sighs, and though I close my eyes, I see La Vie en Rose. When you press me to your heart, I'm in a world apart, a world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing from above. Everyday words seem to turn into love
So we are at the offertory part. Have a few words to say about that. So this month we share our weekly offering with Bridges to Malawi, the Dajid Village Project, and Shiro's Hangout. How we're going to do this is, Lindsay, if you could help me, could you open my guitar case? My guitar case that's in front of you there? Now, I promise you, the money's not going to me. All right. Besides, your checks will be made out to First Parish Church, right? So, so if you have a donation to give, you can certainly put it in the case, and we're using the case as a wind protection. Obviously, we can't hand around a basket. That wouldn't work because of coronavirus and wind and everything else. So throw your money in the case. We'll get it to the right people. Bill Froberg, our new treasurer, will be happy. Checks may be made payable to First Parish Church and sent to the, if you don't want to come up, you can send it to the church to P.O. Box 20, excuse me, P.O. Box 215, Stowe, Mass. 01775. So P.O. Box 215, or throw it in the case there. That's for pledges, so that you put attention pledge secretary on that. If you have just a donation, and you know it's not part of your pledge, you can just send it to here to 353 Great Road, Stowe, Massachusetts 01775. Attention treasurer. You can also text your donation. Oh, look at all you wonderful donors. That's great. You can send it by text to 978-310-3309. That's the text number. You can also donate online at our website. That's fpc-stowe-acton.org/donate. So your support is really important, especially in these hard times. And we really appreciate your donations, your generosity. In the meantime, our offertory number will be Blue Monk by Thelonious Monk. Go ahead, I'll catch up. Go ahead, I'll catch up. Blue Monk by Thelonious Monk. My remarks this morning, my homily, are called Wasting Time. So one of my favorite quotations and pieces of advice comes from the poet Torquato Tasso, who wrote, "All time not spent on love is wasted." It's just lovely in the original Italian. I'll make a stab of that. It goes, "Perduto è tutto il tempo, che in amore non si spende." Isn't that beautiful? Che in amore non si spende. Tasso is an Italian Renaissance poet who lived from 1544 to 1595 and was once one of Europe's most popular writers. I'm sure many of you have never heard of you, but he rocked in the 1500s. Everybody knew Tasso. He was most famous for his epic poem, Jerusalem Delivered, considered to be a monumental achievement of European civilization and hugely influential on literature, music, and the visual arts, both in its day and in the centuries that followed. My own copy of this poem is 443 pages in 10-point type. I must confess I've never read it. Alas, today it's of interest mostly to literary scholars. And the quotation doesn't come from Jerusalem Delivered, but from another famous work by Tasso, Aminta, a play about shepherds and nymphs and unrequited love. Again, it's not a work I've read, but in the play's context, my favorite quotation is entirely about romantic love. Daphne is making the case to Sylvia that she ought to find herself a man. Fortunately, I didn't come across the remark in the context of the play, so for me it's always held a broader meaning. Everything we do should be motivated by love, should be an act of love. Otherwise, we're missing out. First, of course, love others, our family, our friends, our community, our countrymen, the people of the world. And second, love where you are. Where we are, here in eastern Massachusetts, a bit west of Boston, we are so fortunate. Beautiful green hills, temperate weather, a culturally rich and economically successful big city nearby, a commonwealth that's on the cutting edge of science, justice, and liberty. Pinch me, how did I end up here? I'm a boy from New Jersey. And if you're not as lucky as all of us are, if you live in an unlovable place, then do what you can to make it lovable, which is itself an act of love, is in itself time spent on love, and therefore not wasted. Third, and finally, the quotation means love what you're doing, both in the smaller sense of paying attention to this moment, and in the larger sense of how we live our lives and make our livelihood. Since most adults spend most of their adult lives working in one way or another, I'd like to concentrate on this aspect of not wasting time. Here, late in my life, by changing careers, for the last 5 years, I have finally stumbled upon a job I love. Why did it take me so long? I'm a contractor in the IT department of a large multinational corporation with over 36,000 employees worldwide and more than $10 billion in sales last year. My job, in a nutshell, is to help company employees around the world get and understand their sales data. That's it. It's just what I do. In my role, my company sent me to Australia for 3 weeks last year, and then shortly after that to Singapore for another 3 weeks. As an aside, at least before the pandemic, I kept suggesting a trip to our office in Paris, but they weren't taking the hint. I'll resume my campaign after the coronavirus is over. All day, every day, I speak to people around the world and help them. Europe in the morning when it's their afternoon, and Australia in the evening when it's tomorrow for them. Many people find data and numbers hard, so whenever I help out, I get lots of appreciation. I love what I do. It wasn't always so. As I look back over my career, about 2/3 of the time, I was seriously unhappy at work. Maybe some of you can identify with that.
I didn't love what I did. Sure, as the primary breadwinner in my household, I did it, earned money, for the love of my family. So in that sense, my time wasn't wasted. It was time spent on, or at least for, love. But to go into work every day with an attitude of grim determination, often to simply drag myself through the workday, was unhealthy, tiring, stressful, and frankly, hard on my loved ones. I worked in marketing, a lot of which I came to feel is nonsense. How many ads do you click on the web? Don't you just ignore them all? The annoying price we have to pay for so much free content? And of course, a lot of marketing is the art of deception. Oops, I mean persuasion. In my marketing days, we used to call ourselves liars for hire. Not exactly making the world a better place. Alas, I'm almost 65, and I have wasted much time. So I think there's a corollary to Tasso's observation. Time we spend not on love wastes not only time, but lays waste to the lives of those around us, as well as our own. As we allow our livelihood, a means, to become an end in itself, losing the love, as it were, we create avoidable pain and suffering. As grown-ups, we spend a lot of time on the adult project of making money. But if that becomes our primary aim, if it becomes about loving the money itself, then we've made a mess of things. The recent history of our country bears this out. If you had to summarize the root of America's problems in the last 40 years in a single word, what would it be? I submit the word is greed. The amassing of wealth and power, two things that we can't possibly take with us when we die, wasting time and wasting lives along the way. We pollute the environment with carbon to make money. We exploit workers, recently labeled essential workers, to make money. We see wealth inequality on a simply staggering scale, with the top 1% hoarding about 2/5 of the wealth, while the bottom 90% get less than 1/4 of the wealth. The result of greed at the top. We have a healthcare system that's seriously broken because its primary motive isn't health and wellness, but profit. We saw drinking water that was literally poisonous in Flint, Michigan, as a result of a cost-cutting decision. And every day we see our politics corrupted by money spent to win, because if you win, you can bend the legislators, tough word. You can bend the legislators you've purchased to set up the rules so that you can continue to make more money. The culmination is a president who's simply an expression of all this, who sees the world only in monetary and transactional terms, and who comes up way short on the love barometer. Today we have the spectacle of a leader of a thoroughly corrupt regime looking out for only himself and his billionaire cronies, even as he tells the least fortunate of our countrymen, that he's working on their behalf against Mexican rapists, Black Lives Matter terrorists, and traitorous liberals. The result? Waste on a colossal scale. We see wasted time, wasted money, squandered opportunities, damaged relationships with our friends and allies, and a despoiled environment. You waste time, life, and resources by playing to hate, fear, and greed. All three of them, the opposites of love. I often wonder, what if the most successful among us, success defined in the American way as money, wealth, and power, are in fact the most lost? There's no doubt that we need money to live, and a decent amount of money to make a decent life. But if our love of what we should love gets corrupted into a love of money first, then we've made an awful mistake. They used to call it sin. As the New Testament says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. We're really talking about what Jesus said, aren't we? For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world but lose his soul? Mark chapter 8, verse 36. Love of life ends up being degraded into lust for power. And make no mistake, in our society, money is power. It's all too easy to end up treating people as a means instead of as an end in and of themselves. This is sometimes my quarrel, by the way, with Unitarian Universalism. We tend not to focus enough on this darker aspect of life. We tend to presume that people are basically nice. But in fact, there's a constant battle in our hearts between kindness and cruelty, between justice and injustice, between compassion and greed, again, between love and its opposites. I think of the many cartoon characters of many past television seasons, from Fred Flintstone to Family Guy, with a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, whispering in an ear. Or in more biblical terms, for the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Romans chapter 7, verse 19. I know in my own heart the struggle goes on. Not infrequently, for too many people, the wrong side wins in their hearts. And so we see children in cages, mass shootings, domestic violence, and a policeman kneeling on the neck of a black man until that man dies in broad daylight and with no one doing anything to stop him. Time certainly not spent on love. Last month, John Lewis, the conscience of Congress, died at age 80 of pancreatic cancer. Now there was a life dedicated to love. There was a life not one day of which was wasted. In his final essay, published in the New York Times on July 30th, he wrote, "We must put away Oh, wait a second. Ten chimes for the late John Lewis. In his final essay published in the New York Times on July 30th, he wrote, "We must put away our willingness to profit from the exploitation of others. Though I may not be here with you, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence, is the most excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring." I can't add a lot to that. Folks, we're only here for a short while. Let's not waste that precious time. When we die, we can't take our money, our wealth, our power, or our possessions with us. As a modern poet vastly different from Tasso, a gentleman named Philip Larkin, wrote in the last line to one of his poems, "When we're gone, what will survive of us is love." Thank you.
Our hymn this morning is "There Is More Love Somewhere." I think you all know it. Please hum along or sing quietly. It's a sort of the wind is a factor. There we go. It's the sort of song where, you hear one verse and you get the sense, there is more love somewhere, and then, it repeats. I also want to say, this is an African American spiritual, and I want to talk about cultural appropriation for a second. I think the remedy for cultural appropriation is cultural appreciation. So as you sing this or hum along or listen to this, keep in mind that this was sung by slaves working on American plantations, and a song of hope. Basically, there's not a lot of love here, but there's more love somewhere. and a source of uplift, a source of encouragement. So keep that in mind as you sing it, please. Sarah will read our spoken benediction.
If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I gave up childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So now these three, faith, hope, and love, abide, but the greatest of these is love.
Thank you, Sarah. We'll now do our sung or hummed benediction. Peace be with you till we meet again. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Peace be with you till we meet again. As life lays its task before you, keep love's banner floating o'er you. Peace be with you till we meet again.
Thank you for all for coming. We haven't played in a long time, so we got 3 preludes. I know you've been sitting here a long time, and it's 10 after. So if you need to go, that's okay. We won't be insulted. So but if you want to hear some more music, we're going to play 3 numbers. I also want to do a special thank you to everyone, and particularly those gentlemen up there, Mike Merle, Jonathan Daisy, Joe Stodolnik. Thank you for helping with the Zoom. Jordan, and I forget your assistant's name, but we met. Thank you, everybody there. And also Neil. Neil was wonderful and indispensable. Thank you to Sharon Brownfield, Jenny Edgerton. Took a lot of people to put this on and actually create a live event. And thank you also to the weather, which helped us out here. So we're going to start with a famous Louis Armstrong song, Kiss to Build a Dream On, featuring our wonderful trumpet player, Lindsay Rizzo. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, just hang there until she's ready. A little weather malfunction, right? You ready? Whenever you're ready. The wind is a factor. Kiss to Build a Dream On, featuring Lindsay Lozo. Thank you, Lindsay. Our next number is a famous Duke Ellington tune, Sophisticated Lady. It's about love. Oh.
They say into your early life romance came, and in this heart of yours burned a flame that flickered one day and died away. Then, with this illusion deep in your eyes, you learn that fools in love soon grow wise. The years have changed you somehow, I see now. Smoking, drinking, never thinking of tomorrow. Nonchalant, diamond shining, dancing, dining with some man in a restaurant. Is that all you really want? No, sophisticated lady, I know you miss the love you lost long ago. And when nobody is nigh, you They say into your early life romance came, and in this heart of yours burned a flame that flickered one day and died away. Then, with this illusion deep in your eyes, you learn that fools in love soon grow wise. The years have changed you somehow, I see now. Smoking, drinking, never thinking of tomorrow. Nonchalant, diamond shining, dancing, dining with some man in a restaurant. Is that all you really want?
Thank you. And for our last number, we're going to do a little bossa. Antonio Carlos Jobim's Wave. Thank you all for coming. Have a lovely afternoon.